11:59 at Radio Free America till dawn. Right now, I got it. It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on and behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come be live each weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for about an hour. And we started off the show with a copyright strike for Ozzy out there. So I just realized we didn't send Mike a link, so if somebody can throw Mike a link, that'd be great. But we are running a little bit late, and we do on Thursdays because Clover corks us with his show. So a bunch of people joined us from that show, and well worth the wait. Appreciate everybody that. Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully it was for content strikes, right? Not for. Hopefully that copyright strikes are still the same. I'm not gonna lose a channel for copyright. But anyway, thanks everybody for your patience when we're starting late like this. We talked about guns for an hour. We got people joining in from all over the country. We got Clover jumping in from Texas. Thanks for joining.
Hey, good to be here.
We got Psych in from the Connecticut. He's unmuted eventually.
I'm not allowed to talk or they'll tax me.
And we got Gary jumping in from Kansas. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Dog Body coming in from, I'm going to say Western Nevada.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Patriots jumping in from Michigan.
Thank you, sir, for the invite.
Always. Then Rich jumping in. Where are you from?
I live in West Virginia, sir.
How close are you to NFA? Anywhere near?
In the Eastern Panhandle. Close, like halfway between Pittsburgh and DC.
Oh yeah, you're right by NFA. Did you know that? The NFA headquarters is up by you. Yeah. And then we're got Snop jumping in from Oklahoma. I'll remember that now. That's nice.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
You bet. I'm in Arizona, and we got people joining on the other side of the microphones from all over the country. We don't know you're out there unless you say stuff, and it's not romper room, so I'm not going to tell everybody your names because you know your names. Oh, Mike just said he's heading to bed, but right on. And we got all kinds of stuff we can talk about. So I had an interview with Cheryl Todd. She's awesome. We chatted for just an hour. She had to do some other stuff, but hopefully we'll have her back on again. I've listened to Matt's chat for a good while there, doing his Open Liberty. What does he call that thing? But he had, why can't I remember her name? We the female?
Carrie Sloan.
Thank you. He had her on, and she's always cool. And then others. I don't know who all the other people were in there, but a pretty diverse crowd. And then Obnoxious had his Tulsa chat. And maybe you guys can give us some update, I got hiccups, on how much was accomplished there, if we're all good to go or what. And then finally Clover and then I guess Yankee and Matt had a chat that we complained about Hickok, and Benchmade a little bit, and I don't know, other stuff they always complain. And then Clover just had his chat talking about the new YouTube blah blah blahs. So now we can talk about any of that stuff, or I think earlier in the week somebody wanted to start talking about get-home bags, or we were kind of, the idea of get-home bags came up, so we could ditch all of that and talk about get-home bags. I'll leave it up to y'all. Where do you want to go?
I like get-home bags.
Of course, Dano was the one I think who brought it up. Even though he's got a link, he ain't in here. So where do we want to take get home bags as opposed to bug out bags?
Well, now
go ahead.
I was just going to say, are these considered bags that are just in vehicles, or is it something that you carry?
I personally think of something like, depends on what you're doing, right? So if you're one of these people that drive around in a vehicle, then it's going to be whatever's sitting in the back seat, right? Or if you're in an office, maybe it's something in the closet or a drawer of a desk. or if you're a bicycle rider, something that's in the back of your backpack, or, you know, depending on your situation, it's the stuff that you bring extra in case the shit happens and you have to struggle to get home. So not a bug out bag, not like I'm at home and I'm thinking about boogieing, but I need to get back to my mom or my wife or my kids or my dog or my stuff, or all the above.
Yeah, so I mean, like, for me, I used to keep, and I still keep a get home bag in my truck. And then when I, a long time ago, had a job, I had a smaller bag that would go in with me to my job, so different levels for different things. One bag to get back to the vehicle, and then the rest of my supplies in the vehicle to make sure I could get home. I mean,
Yeah, I also carry a bug-in bag in my vehicle.
I don't know how many. I mean, I keep a case of water in all my vehicles. I don't know if that's just because I have a dog with me all the time, so I'm always thinking about it. But that's something that I always keep in there. And obviously, you're not going to walk around all the time with a bunch of extra water. So I generally think of like the get home bags as to like, what are you keeping in your vehicle, since that's probably where you're headed, to get home.
How do you keep it from freezing?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
Well, there's issues with that. Luckily, I've found that since it's all wrapped in a blanket and everything, it's pretty well insulated. So usually the bottles near the center don't freeze. So there's that. But, I keep, in terms of supplies, I've got a full med kit, both for me and for my dog, that I keep in the truck. There's, of course, my extra truck gun that I consider to be part of that. And then, I keep a couple extra blankets folded up in the back of the seat. So in case you end up in a situation where you got to pull over because, weather or what have you, and you're stuck, you have to stay in your vehicle. It's a good idea to have some other ways to stay warm than just letting your vehicle run. Things of that nature. I just, what is it going to take to either get you home or get you to a hospital or safety or whatever. So I just think about those kind of supplies to keep into it. So like I said, medical kit, extra blankets, some form of hydration, and a basic toolkit. You'd be amazed how many people don't keep a jack to actually fix a flat tire or something with them. It's stuff that I think you should keep in mind.
So beyond that, you're talking for vehicles, tools. I'm thinking you got to get through a gate or over a fence or through a door or around to something. And so like the demolition tools, they make little crowbar looking thingies that are kind of like crowbars mixed with, I don't know, other tools. And those things can be pretty effective. I've seen there was there was at least a while there when I was paying attention that a bunch of people were exploring those kind of Black & Decker items and stuff that were little demolition tools, but thinking of them as like rescue escape tools. So if you need to get through a drywall wall, or like most of these buildings nowadays are made out of aluminum studs and stucco and some chicken wire, you can get yourself out of that easy enough if you've got something that's strong enough that can get you through it. And a little folding shovel ain't going to do it. And a plain old crowbar would definitely work and be a little bit smaller, but some of the ergonomics and little leverage points you have on these really thought out little wrecker tools, demolition tools.
So you're
tools,
talking like a pry bar.
like a pry bar from Aliens or something, like these little wicked little bendy little pry bars they make now, like say for demolition, just a little smart little bends and tweaks to it that just make it a lot easier to get yourself out. So again, for people that are doing the job repetitively, it makes their tasks easier. But if you're really just trying to get out of Dodge, it's just so much more effective than a crowbar. If anybody's ever tried to wreck anything with just a plain old crowbar, I mean, it works for some things, but it's just always not quite right for so many little leverage points and tweaks and stuff that in a real situation where time's a factor, you look at what medical personnel are going to use for getting people out of vehicles, and that stuff is like down and dirty. It looks like alien tools, like it looks like SWAT tools or something.
I got a real quick story I can tell you regarding something like that, G. About a week ago, And this has to do with the fact that when I go into work, I have to take part of my keys off my key ring because they're real particular where I work about carrying too many metal items through the metal detector. So I just take my work keys and my car key with me. Well, that day I had locked up my gun and my spare keys in my gun safe in my car. And that particular night, when I went to get in my car and unlock my gun safe, which was a combination, it would not open. I don't know if something was lodged up against there or what. So luckily, I was able to stop off at Dollar General and buy a screwdriver and a pair of pliers to bust that safe open. But say it would have been late at night and I couldn't have got in there, I'd have basically not been able to get in my house. So even for something like that, just have a screwdriver and a pair of pliers that you could use.
I've done a couple of videos on my toolkit. I like lineman's pliers. Those are like designed for working with barbed wire and stuff. And they're just like really strong pliers, and they've got a bit of a hammer and a little bit of a pry end to them. So they're just a little bit more useful than a regular pair of pliers. And they're not ideal, but they can, like for what you're talking about there, get the job done. Screwdrivers, I like the little things where the shaft will come out and flip around and have a longer, wider and a narrower bit, and then some of the nicer ones have like, yeah, exactly.
You know you're a farmer when you have these sitting in your office.
You got to have those things around, and those things are super handy, right? And for like yanking barbed wire, cutting chain link, I mean, they're made for fencing. Like, throw those up again. I'll lock on your screen. And they're super inexpensive. You can get it for like $3 at a pawn shop or something, right? $1. And they're usually decent. Like, they don't even bother to make cheap stuff like that because nobody's going to buy it. The sides there are super wicked cutters, cut right through any kind of wire fence. And if you had to,
you got a hammer,
stucco, yeah,
nail puller, or whatever.
The screwdrivers though, the kind where the shaft, is like a bit driver, and then you've got like maybe 6 or something different bits in the grip. Those are pretty useful. I got most of my tool stuff from having to climb roofs and do air conditioning. You climb a roof 3 times in a day, you get sick of going up and down for stuff, so you get really good at dragging the stuff up you might need. And I kind of take that same philosophy with a get home bag. There's a fence or a wall or something, and it's like your kid's complaining about blisters or needs to get medicine, or your grandma is not getting over that fence or something. Take the damn fence down. I mean, you're trying to get home, and this is like austere conditions, right? Like, who cares about a freaking fence or a wall or a door or anything, right?
Definitely. I mean, that's the whole. It's clearly an emergency, which is why you're digging into that bag in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. And another thing you might want to have in your emergency bag is some type of item for starting a fire. Like that was about a year ago. Clover did one of his trivia things on one of his shows, and I won the fire starter that he was giving away. And my wife keeps that in her emergency kit in the car in case she should have to use it.
Now, my question with that is, has she used it? Does she know how to use it?
She knows how to use it. Yeah, her dad taught her how to use all that stuff a while long time
that
ago.
Gets a lot of people get those and they don't spend any time playing with them. And the last thing you want is to be in need of starting a fire and have to jack around with that for hours trying to figure it out or something.
Yeah, her dad was the kind of guy that made sure that her sisters, her brother knew how to do all that kind of stuff. So.
I'd even go as far as saying make sure you have a few options for something like fire. Don't just throw a Bic lighter into the bag and think it's going to work when you need it. Have a redundancy plan for something like that. Be it a flint kit or one of those air ignition starters.
We kind of talked about fuel. We started talking about fires and stuff in general whenever we got onto this topic. I don't know who else in there the other day when we started this topic, but honestly, with the get home bag, I'm not worried about fire. I mean, getting home isn't starting a camp. I'm thinking of that as sort of a different role for a larger bag. Get home is more, like I say, a few tools that you're going to be carrying a lot. You're going to have them with you, and they don't need fire stuff and stuff in an office necessarily or in the car. But to go along with what Clover, I think, said, that mean, if you number one, if you got kids, I mean, that's every time I bring up starting fires with my friends' kids, they dig it. Like they can't get enough of making fires. So with kids, it should be, I would think, pretty easy to keep them interested in learning how to make fires, like you say, from various different ways. I mean, a big lighter, there's like 3 different ways you can make a fire from a big lighter, even if it's out of fuel. And the different methods of starting a fire, I mean, you can do it with ice, right? I mean, there's neat ways you can use ice and sun to focus, to get an ember going and stuff. So those kind of challenges, those are definitely perishable skills. And if you do have them to where you're comfortable and competent with them, then pass them along. And, it's all about practice. And I just want to throw that in there. But I'm still going to say fire is like maybe a couple of big lighters or something, but who the hell has time to start? I mean, if you're just getting home from work, how many people live so far from work that you're going to have to camp out on the way home?
Well, again, a get home bag doesn't necessarily mean you're coming from work. I mean, just imagine if you were driving through Death Valley and you got stuck.
Well, that's different. I'm talking get home though. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking get home, not bug out. I'm talking like you're
But
getting
I'm not
work or
talking
you're getting to the library or something.
But I'm talking about getting home. Gee, say you had business.
You're on a vacation, you're taking more stuff with you. I'm talking about from work, the stuff you have with you every day at work or at the gym or wherever it is you go every day.
And at least 3 times a week, I drive through Death Valley and come back.
For the rest of us, though, we're talking normal commute and like a couple of miles to get back home, kind of thing. But
well, I hate to disagree with you, G, but my get home bag doesn't necessarily assume there's going to be a car wrapped around it. If I gotta hit the bricks, then that trip that used to be a 20-minute trip is now a day trip or a 2-day trip.
Right. Well, I don't disagree with you, and I'm talking about putting a bag on your back, yes, but I guess, yeah, we all live different lives. I don't drive walking distance days away from my house unless I go to Phoenix. Like that doesn't happen for me. I can get home. I can walk 40 miles in a day. I don't know how many miles you guys walk in a day, but I'm getting home in a day.
Right. What about a slicker suit or whatever? Anybody mention that?
Oh, well, I live in the desert, so no.
Garbage bags.
Yeah, but the reusable slicker suits are cheap.
And it can be a big difference between like a garbage bag with a hole cut in it, which does work, especially those big giant ones.
Yeah.
But and a raincoat where you got sleeves and stuff can make it big.
And a hood.
And pants.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the pants.
Yeah, you get the ones that are like a poncho.
Yeah, I don't have the pants, but in my work truck, I keep one of the little fold-up jackets that just fold into its own pocket, and zip up just for when it's raining and I have to work outside. But
yep.
Now, does your get home bag, does that change with the seasons?
No.
I mean, obviously, tools and stuff wouldn't, but
No, I don't. Mine pretty much stays the same throughout the year.
I would think for some of you, water would be no big deal at winter because you got water everywhere. And plus, it'd be freezing. So I would think you'd take your water out of your whatever situations while snow is ample.
Depends on what kind of room you've got, I guess. A lot of times. See, I've got a tiered system because I've got a big, huge range bag, and then I've got a smaller bag that I call my personal range bag, and then from there I've got my med kit. Well, no, I take that back. I've got my big range bag, I've got my med kit, and then I've got my personal range bag. That's the size scale that it goes down. And then pretty much between that and then the toolbox that I pick up, everything's, I would think I would need is all there. But the cool thing about having the tiered system is that depending on the situation, I could cobble together whatever size bag that I would need with whatever tools I foreseen or equipment or whatever supplies that I foreseen that I need, right? So if it was something to where I was having to go quick and fast and, I just wasn't going to be able to stop. I was going to have to go straight through and, I couldn't carry a whole lot. Then I could put just necessities in that smaller bag and get the heck out.
Something made me think of something that I would like to have, but I can't afford to have, and I'm wondering how many others would or do. Something like a couple of $100 in 20s and like 5s. So if it's really bad conditions and you got to do something, you got some cash that you keep in a belt, or, this isn't being used for ammo or that good deal. This is emergency, couple $100.
I keep just about 100 tucked away.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I used to be real good about keeping like $100 in my console, and anymore I just use my card for everything, which to that point, the other morning, Monday morning, when I was on my way to work, I got all the way to Claremore, which is 30 miles from my house, and realized I didn't have my wallet, and my low fuel light on my truck was on. So that was lovely.
But you didn't have your spare cash?
No, I didn't have it in the truck. I'd used it 2 years ago probably for something and never did replace it, and didn't have my wallet, a card one, and hadn't set up Apple Pay on my phone, so I was just screwed. Had to call my mom to bring me cash to get me that. Luckily, she lives in Claremore. It was quite embarrassing. So I could drive 30 miles back home to get my wallet.
Anybody else do anything like that? Or maybe a ring, or I don't know, just something that can be traded, or an extra knife? That's doable. I could probably do that.
I've got enough tools in my work truck.
I do have a couple extra knives that are usually floating around the truck if I needed to barter.
I used to use silver coins, but other than that, no.
I used to use those the dip, the Kodiak cans, the little plastic ones, and I'd put stuff in there and I would seal them up and put them in the car as far as cash and stuff, because you can kind of stash them, and then it's weatherproof too if you have to, depending on where you're putting them.
All right. Are you saying it's like a camouflage, so somebody just think it was chawing tobacco?
Sure.
It just protect it, and then it's sealed and it's watertight, so weather wouldn't get on it if it was
Okay.
Because I had an El Camino and had stuff stashed.
Oh, nice. What year was this El Camino? Why aren't we talking about this more often?
85 SS, so it had the Grand National front end on it.
Right on. We'll have to have an El Camino chat sometime, and then Bob can sit out there being a sulky El Ranchero. But that's an interesting point. So, anybody else with cash or anything?
Yeah, I keep like a tank of gas worth of money in the car.
I guarantee you, I am again now.
I end up carrying a bunch of quarters when I'm driving around the van for doing laundry, and then I found out almost nowhere takes quarters anymore. You have to actually search for a laundromat that takes quarters. So I've the handfuls of quarters though that and back in the day there's tolls back east, right? So I used to have quarters for tolls. So for some reason I like to have a big thing like $10 in quarters. But I guess one of the other reasons I have it is it turns into emergency cash. You have to play with quarters like a chump, but it works, right? Sometimes you can grab $3 out of a handful of quarters.
One thing that I do is, and it's separate than having a little bit of cash stuck back, of course, but it's nice for little things. I mean, I dip into it every now and then, and that's a little Tupperware bowl that's instead of just change all in the cup holders and everywhere else, I'll drop my change in the little Tupperware bowl in the console. And what's cool about that is sometimes you use it, sometimes you don't. It's always there, but you get that thing full, it's a significant amount of money.
Yeah, I use my ashtrays in all my vehicles for that, but my kids know it, so usually there's no quarters anymore.
Yeah, with the way I do it, it's out of sight, out of mind, type thing.
DB Cooper used to hang out on gun channels quite a bit, and his thing was like, what do you call those things? A Rolex watch. And the idea is that they're, universal, what do you call that? Like a currency. Like, because they're so common around the world that most people who know what they're doing will accept one because they got value or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know about that, but there was a thing a while back about Venezuela, and that guy's thing was coins are great and everything, or gold bars and that kind of thing, but having rings, junk gold, like just rings, you can have a cord around your neck with a whole bunch of rings on it, and when you're bartering for like an apple or a meal, a ring or two, it's a lot easier to deal with than like I have a $100 coin here and I'd kind of like to eat that apple, I don't really want to give you this whole coin. What am I going to do?
That's why I do silver.
Because the increments can be smaller.
Yeah, and you got silver quarters, right, and stuff like that. So sure, yeah.
And again, that's like a little coin purse type of size thing, a little handful, and you could have quite a bit of value there. You think silver and gold and jewelry and that kind of watches and shit would work on a get home? Like there's a chemical spill and everybody's panicking, or Hillary's in office and everybody's panicking to go to gun shops and buy, and you're just trying to.
I think so. I mean, it's obviously going to depend on the person you're trying to get something from, but I would. Heck, I've traded stuff for silver and gold. You know what I'm saying? Just a few years ago, I would do it tomorrow if somebody come up and they had something I wanted and they had silver and gold. So, I would think so, depending on the person.
I know a guy who's real big into prepping, and he has like a whole room in a building that's full of nothing but alcohol for bartering. If shit ever hits a fan, kind of deal.
Well, the problem,
and it's glass. That's the two things that stop me from getting too much of that.
The problem with silver and gold that I see is, at a certain point, up to a certain point, it's going to be fine, and then after a certain point, it's going to be fine. But there's, if you're talking about a post-apocalyptic whatever type scenario, then there's going to be a certain amount of time that sort of stuff is virtually worthless. Everybody's going to be for more tangible things that they can use to get by and stuff like that. So, I think it's at the beginning of a situation, and then coming out of a situation, I think that having gold and silver puts you in a really good position. But during the middle, you better have seeds, and you better have tools, and you better have water filtration and other things, guns and ammo.
Because you're going to lose so much value in currency at that time that you might as well not even had it, because you're just going to have nothing by the time you're done.
That's why
something happened with something there. Everybody's talking to each other.
That's why I keep cigarettes piled, because during that middle period, like Clover was saying, that's when people's vices are going to be the high currency.
Yeah.
I don't like alcohol particularly because most of it's glass, and also it's big and heavy. So it's hard to portion out, so I normally.
Not if you open up a bar. All you need is a bunch of shot glasses.
That's true.
So, I'm going to do a tactical pop quiz. So we haven't done one of these in a while. We're going to try to blow the dust off of this and see how this works. We're going to do a little bit differently since Bob or Dano are both not here, and both of them have links. So, Snob, why don't you pick one of the fellow panelists to be the first stage of this whole situation?
Gizzard.
So Gizzard gets to pick. Can you see my screen? Am my screen sharing? Then Gizzard gets to pick which of these panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, that we're going to be using tonight.
5.
So the first one, or this one at least. Okay, so now this is the panel. This is the panel that somebody will be grabbing a patch from tonight, from the audience on either one of the sides out there. And it looks like we've got 21 people watching over there, and there's a bunch of people over here. And you see this picture right here? Can everybody see that picture?
Yep.
I'm assuming the audience can see it as well. I wish there was a way I could blow it up. Let's see if I can blow it up. Oh, look at that. Genius. Oh, I can only blow it up so far. So that's the picture. And your job, if you choose to participate in the daily pop quiz today, is to come up with the best short story for what the hell is going on in that picture right there. And I'll leave that on the screen, and we'll continue on. And then this panel tonight will judge what the best short story is, either on the side over here that hates guns, or the gun channel side. And I'll just close the thing now so that everybody can see that picture and come up with a nice short story of what the hell is going on in that picture. You could have picked Patriot.
I was waiting.
I actually had you picked that, and I thought I might not.
So anyway, we were talking bug out bags. Actually, we were talking about get home bags, and then how the hell we got on water, or how were we up there? We got off on a tangent though. So did we talk out get home bags, or does anybody have anything to add on those?
I'm just going to say one thing. Since the point of the get home bag is you know your destination. That's the biggest difference between it and say a bug out bag. Because a bug out bag, you might not know your destination. You don't need to prepare a get home bag to be as heavy, but I would strongly encourage people, because you don't know what the circumstance of why you can't get home is. It's a good idea to be at least prepared to spend at least one night away from home. So at least keep that in mind.
Yeah, let's go left, right on that one, because I think of a get home bag is like a bug out bag minus the amenities. So get rid of the food and water and shelter, and it's just the tools basically. So I don't know. Do we need to go left or right? Does anybody have it? Am I the only one that thinks that? Or do you guys all put in there? Because I guess Pants was saying Google would tell him it took 9 hours to get home from his job. So that could be an overnight, especially if you left in the evening, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, my wife, depending on what clinic she's working at, because she's a dialysis tech, she's either driving a half hour or 45 minutes one way. So she's going to have a longer walk if she has to walk it home.
I hate to tell you how, but there's days I drive 3.5 hours to go to a job.
And you also have to know about what time, it could be a sunny afternoon or it could be the middle of the night. I mean, to me, it wouldn't make a difference besides, if it was raining or anything, but you guys need to know light too. I'm sure that should play into it.
Oh, yeah, she leaves.
Did anybody mention flashlights stuff?
She leaves here in the morning around 5 o'clock, and depending on the time of year, she doesn't get home till around 5:36, so it could already be dark by the time she would get home.
I mean, I like I said, I just look at it from perspective. I just think about the commute that I regularly make, because I drive through the desert, and there have been times where I've gotten almost home and I find out the road's closed because the road got washed out. And so now I can't go home, end up sleeping in the truck for the night. The point of the get home bag is to make sure that you get home safe. So just keep that in mind, that you might not be able to get home in that day. That's why I say that.
Well, that's also the reason that I don't call my bag a get home bag. It's a bug in bag, because I might not be trying to go home. I may be away from home, unable to get home, and I have to go to my third location, which may be a lot further away.
That's a valid point.
So do you guys talking blankets then?
Yeah. Well, I carry those in the car anyway.
That's what I said. Yeah. I keep a couple extra blankets in the truck behind the seats for that exact, reason. That's why I mentioned the fire thing, because people get caught up sometimes when we have the flash floods and, their vehicle is stuck. They're not getting that vehicle out of there. Having a way to start a fire, light your spare tire on fire or something, people will respond to that smoke, So sometimes you might be in a situation where you can't get yourself home. So having those ways to, for lack of a better word, I guess, send a signal to communicate can become that thing that gets you home.
Yeah, around here, where my wife's mother lives maybe 2 towns over, but all it takes is for one bridge to wash out, and she's then got an hour and a half, 2 hour drive to get back home, because one bridge washed out.
And it's not like there's multiple bridges that are walking across type of bridges. You got.
Yeah, where we live, there's not bridges everywhere. You have to drive until you get to a bridge.
Yeah, so it obviously depends on where you live too. So.
Vanessa Kitty saying foot care needs if you have not walked for a long term in a while. So even footwear, having a pair of those, they're like Solomon's or whatever, they're like gym shoes, where they're, like the size of gym shoes, but they're more rugged.
I mean, that's a really good point. What if you work in an office and, you have to wear dress shoes normally, so you're always in dress shoes. You might want to have a pair of shoes that are comfortable walking in, or some of those ladies out there who wear heels to work. That's not a bad point.
All right, so now we're going to go do some judging. You can all judge. So let's see if we got here. So Pants has this guy is saving the woman from a rabid cheeseburger. We got Bulk saying a hamburger before getting his stripes. Or the Hamburglar before getting his stripes. Oh, that's a nice one.
I like that one.
So Cycle Camp says after the apocalypse, Mayor McCheese captures all the hot chicks. Guy with the old frozen snake decides he will free them. Nice. I'm not gonna be able. I will move these over here so you can still keep looking at the picture. Right there. That work? We got a couple. Gunpowder saying I can't stock up on moonshine or whiskey. Well. Okay, so Vanessa Kitty Club and the Hamburglar. Hold on, honey, I'll get you some food. Cycle Camp. That's that one again. Noxious has it's a metaphor for lactose intolerance with the cheeseburger man attacking. And now shirtless dude is going to fart all over the pretty girl. Of course, he had to be vulgar. And then Adam has vegans fighting off the evil red meat. I think that's all we got. Nope, no more last minute ones. So, what do you guys want? Who wins?
I like cycle camps.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go with that. I'll make that. I'll be a third on cycle camps.
As much as I like cycles, I'm going with A Folk 84.
Hamburglar before getting his stripes. What do we got? Clover.
I'll go with Cycle Camps. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna win it, I think. Cycle. You got a vote?
No, I'm in the running, so I'll pass.
All right. Well, I think that's an overwhelming. You won. So there you go.
I'll be honest. It's because Hamburglar was not the one with the hamburger head. Cycle remembered that was Mayor McCheese.
Hamburglar has a hamburger. No, he doesn't have. He has a big ass hamburger.
He doesn't. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm a fat guy. I am well acquainted with all of the McDonald's friends.
That's right.
I was 15 years ago or 20.
Did anybody have the McDonald's dolls that were like the Star Trek dolls? You had like clothes and stuff. They had like bendable elbows and shit. They were kind of gruesome looking because they were from like the 70s.
Must have been before my time. I remember the little guys, but I don't remember no dolls.
So they had like little rubber ones that had like wire in them and they would bend around. But then they also had these like kind of goofy looking, like here they go. That was the Hamburglar, and they would have like clothes. And then the best one, of course, was Grimace, which is basically a stuffed animal. And then that whatever's head, the cop guy, was pretty good. He had like a big rubber cheeseburger head.
Yeah, the cop guy that was Big Mac.
Yeah, the Big Mac cop. He was my favorite. You had to go buy those at a toy store though. It wasn't like you got them at McDonald's or whatever. I think the rubber ones you got at McDonald's from like buying a food or whatever. So Cycle, which patch do you want?
Oh, which patch do I want? Is that them right there?
Mm-hmm.
There's the one that has like a wolf up in the upper left corner.
Yeah, that's from.
That's nice.
That's from SO Tech, Special Operations Tech out of California. A bunch of Green Berets that started the company, and then wounded former operators run the machines. And these are their. They do quite a few specific bags for Green Berets and units that need like specific stuff for medical or whatever. So that along with that, they created these icon terminology badges, and I got a series of those. This is their K9 handler one. So yeah, that's made in USA by Jet motherfuckers. So that's a good patch.
Good.
Right on. So we'll try to do the tactical quiz every day, and ideally we'll do a patch every day. We should have enough to do one every single day. So do the first winner. All right, with that, what's next?
Anybody carry blades in their bags? I carry one of those big ass like 12.5-inch survival knives.
I've got an extra spider coat, and then like I would probably put a Mora in something if I was putting to get my bag together, but that's about it.
Like I
Yeah,
said
my
earlier,
wife has a folding knife in hers. I don't remember what brand it is.
If I have to leave my truck, I'm taking my dang Sawzall with me. I ain't even joking. Maybe the skill saw too if I feel like carrying it.
I always have a knife or two on me, but I always keep an extra Bowie knife in the back of the truck.
Yeah. And I don't carry a lot of water, but I do have a life straw and purification tablets just in case.
I'm sure if I dig deep enough in the back seat of my work truck, there's a half-drink Mountain Dew somewhere, so I'm good.
I mostly panic about water just because I always have the dog. Last thing I want to do is worry about him dehydrating.
All right, so now we're going to move to the gun of the day, which is the Medusa multi-caliber revolver. Everybody know about this one?
Love it.
Yep.
Is everybody familiar with it?
Yeah.
It doesn't hold the record for the most variety of calibers shot.
I would imagine. They're pretty neat, but they cost like $5,000 or something crazy. So you don't see them around too often. I got to see a couple at Wanamaker actually.
Is that with multiple barrels, or is that just kind of a,
One barrel, it's a revolver. Have you seen one before? I don't know. They were made in the 80s or something, but they weren't exactly like a round. They'd look like a Dan Wesson, I think, more than anything, right? They've got a Smith and Wesson like cylinder release, but they've got the front end of like the barrel of like a Dan Wesson, like a big, what do they call it, slab side barrel? But it is the 30 caliber barrel, so it can hold, I don't even know what the damn number is. It's something like 20 or even 30 different caliber cartridges, but they all have to be basically 9mm 38, 380. But because there's so many cartridges made that way, they all fit in there diameter wise. And then as far as case length, it just has smooth cylinders basically with what am I trying to call it, like a, what do they call it, the rim, you know, the ridge, what do they call the place for the rim? Drawing a blank. It's got the shelf or whatever for a rim in each chamber, so it'll take all the rims, and then there's like a little, I don't know, little bendy piece of metal that basically like a little nub that comes out that's spring loaded, and it'll catch all of the rimless stuff. So if you put like a 380 in there, it'll still, doesn't need the headspace off the chamber. It just headspace. It doesn't headspace at all. It just sits in there, kind of in place based off this little spring loaded nub that's in there.
Yep.
Otherwise, it just looks like a little wicked, aggressive, smooth cylinder, like 38 6-shot. So it's a little bigger than a J-frame with like target sights, so it's not smooth or anything. It's kind of aggressive looking.
I love multi-caliber guns, and that gun is definitely at the top of my list of dream guns.
So I guess the deal was what, the guy built the thing, and then Remington or somebody bought the patent and then just shelved it, and it didn't exist after that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Remington bought the rights to produce it, and then it just kind of didn't go anywhere in the market. So they stopped production almost as soon as it started out because they just couldn't sell it.
I don't know about that, but maybe back then, especially if they didn't market it hard, well.
Well, that was just it. That at the time, it just had bad timing in the market. It just didn't pick up the pace for what was going on at that time. You know, if that gun had come out just a few years later, like if that gun had come out in the 90s, it probably would have been a market success instead of when it came out in the 80s.
Anyone here been able to fiddle with one or shoot one?
Closest I've ever gotten to was getting to hold one at a gun counter, being sad that I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, that's about the closest I got. The scene one was behind glass.
They wouldn't even take it out, or it just wasn't an opportunity.
It was just a display piece.
Because there's definitely those that's the kind of gun where they'll like size you up, and if like you ain't got $5,000, then they're not taking it out of the case kind of gun.
The one gun shop around here, they have a bunch of like old stuff and stuff like that where there weren't a whole bunch of them. They just have them in little glass cases. They just never take them out. It's just like for display.
Now they're talking about lotteries up there, so we'll talk about what's going on today. Back in 1967, Reising died. So Eugene Reising from the Reising machine gun. He worked with Browning, actually, and I think he helped him make the 1911, right? He made the Reising M50 45 ACP, the machine gun from World War II.
Yeah.
Marines had it. Wasn't very successful.
And then after the war, police departments would buy those surplus ones, and police departments loved them. The Marines didn't like it so much because it would jam if they didn't keep it clean properly, but the police loved them.
Yeah, I heard they were really effective at selling them to police because they were similar cartridge that they were using, and they weren't super aggressive looking, and they were capable.
Yeah, as long as you kept them clean, they were supposed to work really well. That's why the cops liked them, because they were able to maintain them where the Marines, like Guadalcanal and everything, they would get all jammed up with sand and stuff, and they couldn't keep them working properly. But if you had the time to tear them down and keep them clean on a regular basis, they were supposed to run really well.
When I was driving around with Haas in 2012, right at Halloween, we met up with Iraq veteran, and he was doing his Halloween shoot and everything, and he had just got his hands on a Reising, and they did a video shooting the shit out of that Reising for a day. It was pretty fun. I think it used 1911 mags, if I'm not crazy, which is kind of cool. It's also the day that Robin Moore died. So he wrote the book The Happy Hooker from a long time ago. But also The French Connection and Green Berets, so that made the movie. He also wrote the song, The Ballad of the Green Berets, which is the theme of that movie. So he's a cool dude. He died when he was 82 years old. And that was today also. And I don't have a gun shop in here. Has anybody got a gun shop we can feature today? Okay. If you tell the shop that you know Edge, they will let you hold it. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that me and Edge saw a shop that had a Medusa, and I was like, wait, did we? So if nobody's got a...
I posted a... Oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I posted a picture on Instagram today of a Bushmaster M17S that I seen at my favorite gun shop, Bullock's Guns and Safe. They're a Liberty safe distributor. I've mentioned them before, but I purchased a Browning BDA 380 prior to seeing the other one, so I only came home with the Browning.
Right on. So I saw this picture. I didn't even recognize that it was your picture. So this is a what do they call it? An M17S? Bullpup?
Yes.
It's basically an AR-15 kind of thing-ish, and then a bullpup, but proprietary, totally unique. It's just cool because I don't know, did you take like shit ton of pictures or you just take one?
I've got two, but yeah, they didn't really have much time to take pictures in there. So.
Yeah, well,
I was just happy they got me one picture. So,
did you take it or they take it?
I had the guy take it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I
So I was
could.
saying, this is a pretty decent picture since it's a picture sitting on a lighted case, like an illuminated case. So you're looking like through the glass at like two different shelves of pistols down below, and they're colored. So the light's on, and they've got like orange and blue and green, or I guess pink and shit. But the gun is still lit well. It's a really fucking good picture. So it's silhouetted. There's like color, and then you can see all the detail of the gun. So it's kind of neat.
And look at all the awesome skies in the background.
I will mention that Mr. Midnight Range TM cropped it for me so that it wasn't showing, like half of me in there. So
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
I would say
He didn't ruin it either
yeah.
during that process.
Yeah, actually, that's the case that the Browning was in, and I think there was some Keltec little. I don't know. He doesn't show me the plastic stuff, so I don't know what was under. But yeah. So it's a good shop. Look it up. It's Bullocks Guns, but they are a Liberty distributor as well, and they've got hundreds of them. I mean, it's a huge place of the safes, which I don't go over there. I just stay over by the firearms.
Right on. Well, that's what we try to do, is feature a gun shop every day. So thanks for that. And have we talked about that one before?
Yes, I brought it up a couple months ago, just because it's a nice mom and pop. They've been around for a while, a long time. It's kind of halfway in between the city and outskirts. It's kind of encroaching on them. But yeah, it's a nice place. It's not like the hugest the other one that I mentioned that's really mammoth. They're more of a smaller shop, but they do have a lot of safes. If you're going to get a safe, that's where you go.
And they're just talking about Cycle Camp is saying that, user said Peter Tork of the Monkees died, and Cycle Camp is saying he was 77. He is saying he's 77, even though.
Yeah, I believe he was 77 years old when he died. I saw him and Mickey on tour last year.
How lively are they anymore? Because they were older than me, way older than me.
Well, yeah, 77. So they were like 76. So no, they did pretty well actually. I was surprised. So Mickey had a halfway decent set of pipes on him still. Peter and not so much, but he was there. You could tell he wasn't doing well. And I believe Peter Tork's son was in the band. I think he played the drums.
All he did is stand there with the guitar with the hat on, right? It's not like he was a singer jumping around. It was the other two.
Yeah.
All the time. But still, okay. Well, yeah, everybody knows the Monkees, right?
Yeah, and Davey was already dead, and Mike doesn't want anything to do with any of them. So what are you going to do?
So are they on stage with their walkers and oxygen bottles, or what?
No, they did okay.
Says Seven was saying he was diagnosed with a cancer back in 2009, so he's been able to kick it for a while with that. That's good. All right, well, that's a little somber news at the end there, but we had another couple of people. Well, one guy was born and one guy was died. But I guess with that, we can start to wrap it up. It's a pretty good day. I've been chatting for a while, so thanks to my Patreons who give me the time to spend. Let's see, I started chatting probably around 3 p.m. and it's now getting to be 11:30. So that's quite a bit of time, and that's 100% due to my patrons. And I know a lot of you are watching right now, so thank you for that. Snob, you got a show coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, I suppose I should. The good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. So, thanks for the invite. Glad I got to be here tonight, even though it's way past my bedtime. But,
Good. Thanks for staying up. I have Johnny also, obviously. Rich, thanks for jumping in. Show's coming up Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday at 8 o'clock over on Motor Media channel. It's 8 o'clock Eastern. Thanks for the invite. This is my first time on the show.
Right on. Yeah, anytime you're around on Gun Channels, just let me know. If I see you green, I'll throw you a link. Yeah, thanks for joining in. And I was gonna say, do you got a topic for Sunday already?
Not yet. I usually wait and see and then if we're going to do a topic, I'll pick something that's been in the news. Sometimes we just go with the phone. Whatever happens, happens.
Right on. Well, thanks for posting over on the gun channels. Patriot, you got the EDC challenge. I heard earlier, still going.
Yep, it's I've got a couple people, not very many, but some people have been posting. But yeah, it's still going. I'll let it go for a while to get a couple in there. But one of the main, the giveaway has a deck of firearm inventors. It's got the deck in there, so as well as a keychain from Owl and Anchor. But yeah, I'm gonna be on as many shows as they'll send me links, so you can find me all over. And I'm looking into getting some swag from Owl and Anchor, so maybe that'll show up here in a while. But thanks for the invite, appreciate it. I ramble on when I get tired.
I know I'm over here typing and texting too at the same time. So, Dog Buddy, what do you got coming up? You were talking about trying to sell out the book so you can do the second.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of books that are in the works, and I need to sell a little bit more of the current book that's out there. So if anybody's interested in helping out with that, you can get the book over at muscledogmafia.com. And I'm going to do another run of signed books. So anybody who's interested in that, please feel free to email me at muscledogmafia@gmail.com, and we'll work that out. Actually, I have a book that's going to be going to UG. I'm just waiting to get my actual order of books filled so I can have a copy to send you.
Yeah, I should exercise this little fatso so that she quits being a tubblard and starts being useful. She could pull stuff around or whatever. She's supposed to be a sled dog, right? She could be pulling the van. I could save all kinds of money on gas.
She'll only pull it in the snow, though.
Okay. I told you the snow story. She doesn't even want to have nothing to do with snow.
Hey, that's why. Get her a little backpack. Make her carry all your ammo. Range day with the dog. It's awesome.
I don't want to hurt her. She can't carry my ammo. Gizzard, what do you got coming up? Foul Territory still happening on Fridays?
Foul Territory Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Yes, sir. And thanks for the invite.
Always, thanks for jumping in.
You
Cycle
bet.
Pete, thanks for joining. I don't know if you've got anything going on, but I appreciate you're always posting stuff over on the calendar. I think one of your posts is the next thing coming up, actually. Over on the Gun Channel's calendar over there.
Yeah, there should be the CCTL dinner this Saturday.
Captain Daniel Shays at America's First Nonviolent Protest on March 9th? That's what I was thinking. That's you, isn't it?
That's me. Yeah, that's from. I try to do stuff for the Springfield Armory Historic Site. So whenever I get a thing from them, I try to flip it over. I do it if it's like rights or guns, but if it's just like regular stuff, I don't bother.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it. And then I think it was Tony saying somebody was saying something in some chat. I'm in too many chats today, but somebody was saying something in the chat earlier about what started the revolution. Was that Cheryl talking about that? And Artisan Tony was challenging it, that it was over tea. And somebody had just posted something on the main page of Gun Channels that was like a 15-minute summary of like Constitution or the Second Amendment specifically or something. And they got all into, the English Bill of Rights and all the different little pieces that kind of came from, that all developed. And then the Tea Party was the last straw, but it was the British trying to take our, what do we call, armories, our stockpiles of firearms that we had as Massachusetts, or Massachusetts had as Massachusetts. And the Tea Party was just like the thing that happened that night. But the fact that they were coming for the guns the next day is what caused the Tea Party, right?
Well, yeah, there was a buildup of unrest, and fearing the unrest, they were going to disarm the citizenry of the colonies.
Just throwing that out there. So yeah, I appreciate the nods to history, because it's not like we all remember it. I definitely don't remember it all. So reminders like that and opportunities to experience it are good. Over on Gun Channels, looking at that, I don't know how many people are watching Working the Trigger or Work. Workman is the channel over on Gun Channels. He's just started a channel, and it happens Thursday. So he's, not intentionally because he's doing his own thing, but he's been doing a show on Thursdays, and it's basically 100% guns, like none of the BSing or chitter chatting really. It's just people that are kind of, I'm assuming, new to it. They're doing it well, but it's all 100% guns. So if you're literally looking for good old fashioned talking about CCW options and holsters and ammunition for like 2 hours, check it out. The nice thing about Gun Channels is even when we're doing things simultaneously, they're on Gun Channels. So of course they're on whatever platform they're on, but you can just go back through the main page of Gun Channels and go watch Obnoxious's chat about the Tulsa stuff, watch Works show about guns, watch Yankees craziness about crazy stuff, watch Clover's show. But anyway, so I don't see anybody doing anything tonight. So we're in need, I guess, of some nighttime crew. I don't know what happened, but it kind of comes in spurts and in cycles. And right now we're on a vacuum with late night stuff. So if you're still chomping at the bit for late night chat, you're a night owl, then feel free to start a show over on Gun Channels. If you need help, there's people around to show you how to set it up. And Gun Channels is 24/7 as long as there's somebody around to post a room for their people to hang out in. With that, Clover, what do you got going on? I know you got shows premiering tomorrow.
Yeah, the podcast with the Pew Pew Jew with Yehuda Raymer will be tomorrow.
That's an industry one? Oh, okay. Guess it makes sense.
Well, it's the industry and the community. You apparently don't listen to the intro, G.
Is that that's not the one with the guy? That's
What do you mean? Yeah, it's one with the guy.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I didn't then.
Bringing together the industry and community. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I thought industry, and then I thought we were the community.
Well, so is you saying Pew Pew Jews not? But yeah, I get you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that's tomorrow, and and then Obnoxious had said earlier, for anybody who didn't read it out there, that they're going to be doing some phone calls tomorrow to double check on the last couple of things, but it sounds like maybe in Snob Show or something, Tulsa people can get back together and get more info on the hotel situation, and then we're that much closer to knowing, where and when to make reservations and that kind of stuff. All right, with that, thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll be back same time tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow's it already is Free Patch Friday, so anybody wants to support what we're doing here, go buy shit. Thanks.